Hey gamers, if you're looking new beat 'em up games, you've come to the right place. And in this video, I'm gonna show you top 20 new beat 'em up games you'll want to add to your wish list for 2026. Please don't worry too much about the ranking because everyone has their own most anticipated game. And who knows, you might discover a hidden gem you've never heard of before. Or maybe you can roast me in the comments if I missed yours. Before we go into the list, I want to tell you about my favorite place to buy games, and that's Instant Gaming. Instant Gaming is an awesome site for grabbing games at great prices. Not only they always have fantastic discounts, but also they running giveaways you won't want to miss. Seriously, these deals are hard to beat. Where else are you gonna find prices this good? Why pay full price when you can grab the same game for way less, right? Yeah, you can shop for games on all kinds of platforms, like PC, PS5, Xbox, and the Nintendo Switch. No worries, it's 100% legit, fast, and super easy to use, and their support team is available 24/7. So what are you waiting for? Go check out your favorite games by using the link in the description below and start saving your cash with Instant Gaming. And by using my link, you're not just getting awesome deals, but also supporting this channel. Alright then, let's get back into the list. Button Man is an upcoming side-scrolling adventure game that blend of classic beat-em-up combat and point-and-click mystery elements. While it features traditional side-scrolling beat-em-up brawls, you can often avoid fights through puzzle-solving or narrative choices. Combat may be like any beat-em-up, where you can punch, kick, and grab and throw enemies. But the game features a reputation and mental health system that changes based on how you interact with the world. Set for release on Steam sometime in 2026, possibly in Q2 2026. Red Rust is an upcoming retro, side-scrolling beat-em-up game that blends melee combat with shooting mechanics. Yeah, this game drawing inspiration from 80s and 90s arcade classics like Streets of Rage and Contra. You play as Red, a heroine in levels filled with fist-fighting enemy hordes punctuated by epic boss battles that shift to run-and-gun shooting phases for varied pacing. The fighting feels punchy and satisfying up close, while bosses demand precise dodging and pattern recognition. The game was originally planned to release in 2025, but after a delay, it is now officially scheduled to launch on April 1st, 2026. Catgirl Survivor 2 Beyond the Veil is shaping up to be a surprisingly fun mix of beat-em-up action, roguelite survival mechanics, and stylish pixel art. In this game, you play as different cat girls, each with their own backstory, teaming up to cleanse corrupted souls across broken dimensions. One of the biggest highlights is how flexible the co-op is. You can play solo, jump into local split-screen co-op, or go online for multiplayer sessions. And with roguelite progression, every co-op run feels different, pushing players to experiment with builds and team combos.
Security forces stand accused of brutality.
8 Dragons 2 is an upcoming indie arcade beat-em-up, or you can call it the sequel to the original 8 Dragons, expanding on the retro side-scrolling combat with modern mechanics and a unique focus on massive multiplayer cooperation. The game offers side-scrolling action across open zones in 4 districts, where crews liberate areas from gang control. The multiplayer mode is up to 8 players. You can join on a shared screen, making it ideal for group sessions, fighting hordes together. And yeah, this retro-style brawler shines in co-op campaign mode, redefining the genre with its large party size.
Kid, a young martial artist as swift with punches and kicks as he is with delivery.
Pizza Kid is an upcoming 2D side-scrolling beat-em-up currently in development by Kid Games. You play as Kid, a martial artist who also happens to be a pizza delivery guy, fighting through a city overrun by nightmare creatures, robot drones, scarecrow ninjas, and massive monsters. Combat looks quick and responsive, with an emphasis on long combos, air juggling, and fighting game-style moves. So yeah, if you're into classic arcade brawlers with a modern touch and strong 90s vibes, this is one to keep an eye on. Underling Uprising is an upcoming 2D beat-em-up that blend classic arcade brawling with a bold, cartoon-inspired presentation. The story follows the Underlings, a group of lab experiments given superpowers by a mad scientist. After being betrayed, they set out on a revenge-driven journey across multiple locations, fighting through enemies, mini-bosses, and larger boss encounters. And the game supports up to 4-player local co-op and versus modes with 7 long stages, multiple difficulty options, and a straightforward control scheme where all characters move at a similar pace. The game is planned for release in 2026 on PC, Nintendo Switch, and PlayStation.
Underling Uprising.
Rushing Beat X, Return of Brawl Brothers is an upcoming revival of Jaleco's classic SNES beat-em-up series. The gameplay stays rooted in traditional side-scrolling brawling but adds modern systems to smooth out the action. Set in Neo Cisco City, the game once again follows Rick Norton and Douglas Build as they take on a new threat tied to the Zika virus and cybernetic clones. And yeah, you can choose from up to 6 characters and play solo or in 2-player co-op. And combat includes auto combos, counterattacks, cancelable moves, and a rage mode that temporarily increases power, giving fights a faster and more flexible flow. The game is officially scheduled to launch on March 19th, 2026. City of Rampage is an upcoming 2D beat-em-up that heavily inspired by 16-bit Sega classics, specifically Streets of Rage and the comic book-styled Comic Zone. Combat is built around a compact but layered control scheme. Using just 4 face buttons, players can perform basic combos, directional attacks such as knee kicks and uppercuts, jump attacks, blocks, and special moves including a Dragon Punch-style attack that hits both upward and downward. Difficulty is a defining element. Enemies attack aggressively, dodge frequently, use counters, and apply constant pressure with ranged options and juggle setups. Although this game looks classic and ordinary, this beat-em-up may be one of the games you've been waiting for. Lady Death DEMONICRON is a side-scrolling beat-em-up game set in the Lady Death comic universe, featuring sword-slicing combat and destructive magic. You will play as Lady Death as a demonic invasion disrupts her attempt to mourn a fallen ally, pushing her into a series of hostile realms. You can choose between Lady Death and Ravenheart, each offering distinct combat styles, and the campaign spans 15 levels with exaggerated and often grotesque settings designed to support constant combat rather than exploration. The game includes a story mode with local co-op, an endless horde-style mode called Pit of Hell, and planned online multiplayer. So yeah, you can expect to play with your friends in this game. Fighting Force Collection bundles the original Fighting Force and its sequel, Fighting Force 2, for modern platforms. Fighting Force Collection, who doesn't know this PS1 game? This is the beat-em-up game you used to play, right? Well, now this game is coming to Steam. You will choose one of 4 characters battling through urban and sci-fi levels against waves of enemies using punches, kicks, grapples, and environmental weapons such as pipes, car doors, or guns. The sequel shifts to more sci-fi action with hoverboards, motorcycles, and new characters like a robot, but received mixed reviews for uneven pacing and technical issues on original hardware. Mad King Redemption is a pixelated 2.5D beat-em-up with roguelite element that mixes classic brawler combat with run-based progression and a dark fantasy story about ambition, loss, and power. In this game, you play as one of several heroes trying to fight through this chaos, push back the corruption, and ultimately confront the king himself. Combat follows familiar beat-em-up ideas, but every run through the Forbidden Cloister is different, with randomized levels, enemy placements, and rewards. You're encouraged to adapt on the fly instead of memorizing one perfect route. Mexican Ninja is beat-em-up roguelike throws you into Nuevo Tokyo, a strange city where Mexican and Japanese influences collide and street gangs rule every block. The gameplay mechanics, the frustrations I had with difficulty, and why I still think this game has serious potential despite the rough edges. From sword strikes and dashes to randomized abilities and roguelite replayability, Mexican Ninja is shaping up to be one of the most unique indie games coming soon. If you're into beat-em-ups, roguelites, or just love the idea of a Mexican Ninja tearing through enemies in a chaotic world, this is a game that you must play. Ghost Vanguard is another new beat-em roguelike where you play as a fallen warrior brought back by the gods, sent into a shifting dungeon to recover lost power and piece together what went wrong. The story is simple and mostly there to give context, but it fits the moody tone the game is going for. Your build starts to feel important when you're getting hit from behind or overwhelmed, encouraging you to think beyond pure offense. Visually and mechanically, the influences from action roguelikes like Dead Cells, both in movement and presentation. Still, Ghost Vanguard doesn't feel like it's just copying ideas. It combines them into a beat-em-up format that feels tense and busy, focused on crowd control and survival. Mayhem Brawler 2 Best of Both Worlds has been on my radar for one simple reason. The first game understood what made classic beat-em-ups fun and built something confident around it. It had personality, comic book energy, and a world that felt thought out instead of just stitched together around street fights. Combat sticks close to arcade roots but adds modern layers through abilities, status effects, and character variety. The ambition Mayhem Brawler 2 rather than scaling things back, the sequel is going bigger multiple timelines, more characters, expanded lore, and a wider scope overall. It's a bold move for an indie team, but that confidence is part of the series' identity. Do you agree with me? Tenjutsu is a fast-paced, roguelike action game set in a city ruled by powerful syndicates, where you play as a former Yakuza fighting back to take control of the streets. The gameplay, it's more about momentum and survival than deep storytelling, but the world hints at shifting power and ongoing conflict as you progress. What really stands out is how the fights play out. This isn't about mindless button mashing, you're constantly moving, managing space, and dealing with multiple enemies at once. And yeah, the roguelike side keeps things fresh, also fun. Each run gives you different weapons, upgrades, and techniques, so you're always experimenting and adjusting your playstyle. Scott Pilgrim EX is a brand new 2D beat-em-up that continues the series with a fresh story. This time, Scott and his crew explore a bizarre, fractured version of Toronto, where time and space have gone completely off the rails. The core gameplay is familiar: up to 4-player co-op, classic brawler combat, light and heavy attacks, special moves, grabbing and throwing enemies, and lots of chaotic fun. And instead of a traditional RPG leveling system, character growth is tied to money and purchases, which creates interesting choices. Not only that, every character has a unique assist that can be summoned during combat, and these can later be swapped out. Each assist behaves differently, making them useful for crowd control or getting out of tight situations. Toxic Crusaders is an upcoming side-scrolling beat-em-up inspired by the classic Sega Genesis-era game and the over-the-top 90s cartoon of the same name. This new release aims to bring the Toxic Crusaders back with a modern touch, without losing its goofy, mutant-filled charm. Toxic Crusaders looks like a fun but imperfect throwback, appealing for fans of retro beat-em-ups and the franchise itself, as long as you're okay with some old-school design quirks. Yeah. Originally planned to release in 2025, the game has been delayed and is now scheduled for release in 2026. Detained Too Good for School is a stylish 2D beat-em-up where you step into the shoes of a delinquent schoolgirl fresh out of juvie. Instead of heading straight home, you're thrown into the city brawling with bullies, exploring different areas, and deciding how your story unfolds. Beyond the punch-heavy action, the game blends in light RPG elements. You can take side jobs, build relationships, attend classes, and manage your daily life, all of which influence your character's growth. Most importantly, your choices actually matter. The decisions you make throughout the game affect the narrative and can lead to multiple endings, making every playthrough feel a little different. He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, Dragon Pearl of Destruction is an upcoming retro-inspired 2D brawler game that captures the essence of the 1980s animated series. The game includes over 12 diverse levels, with 2-player co-op, boss fights, and challenging mechanics reminiscent of classics like Golden Axe. The magic abilities, pogo-style enemy jumps, and over-the-top special moves add just enough spice to keep things interesting across the stages, and the visual absolutely nails the nostalgia. The pixel art looks handcrafted with love for the original cartoon, not the modern CG reboots. Characters are big, expressive, and packed with personality, while enemies explode into magical chaos.
Grab a friend and fight for Eternia with 4 playable heroes, classic arcade controls. It's powered up pixel perfection for your gaming console or personal computer.
The number one we have, Acts of Blood, is an action-adventure beat-em-up developed by an Indonesian studio, and it feels like a blend of brutal action films such as The Raid with modern game design. You play as Hendra, a law student whose life is completely destroyed after his entire family is brutally murdered, and his desire for revenge becomes the main driving force behind every fight and every moment in the game. Acts of Blood is often compared to Sifu Game, and that comparison makes sense. The atmosphere and animations are strong, and the action feels truly alive, especially during the cinematic and ruthless finishing moves that leave a lasting impression. And that's it for today. Those were lists the top 20 new beat-em-up games you'll want to add to your wish list for 2026. Got a hidden gem I didn't mention? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video or discovered a new title to add to your collection, feel free to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you'll never miss future content. Once again, if you want to buy games with cheap price, the link in the description. Okay, alright then, thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.